there earlier on and had an excellent meeting with him, enjoyed his hospitality, extended an invitation to him to visit Pakistan, and I'm grateful that he accepted my invitation and he's here in Islamabad. We've always valued our bilateral relationship. It is based on common faith, history, common aspirations, and we feel in my trip in Iraq, I realized the goodwill Pakistan enjoys in Iraq at every level. I met the President, the Prime Minister, the Defense Minister, the Interior Minister, obviously the Foreign Minister. And it was across the board. Excellent environment, goodwill, warmth, hospitality, but lack of engagement. We hadn't spent a lot of time together because they were in the midst of a war, and we were also, going through our regional challenges. But we have reconnected, and we have reconnected with a lot of zeal to promote our bilateral relations in the days ahead, and convert this excellent political relationship into a more meaningful partnership, regional economic partnership. In the bilateral delegation level talks that we've had earlier on, we discussed cooperation in a number of fields: trade, energy, religious tourism, defense cooperation, human resource, and employment. And we also discussed some consular matters. We both have agreed to convene an early meeting of the 9th session of the Joint Ministerial Commission. We feel the last one met many years ago, and this is a good forum to ensure a follow-up of such useful meetings. I discussed with the Foreign Minister the issue of visas and how he can help facilitate visas for Pakistanis, especially during Muharram and close to Arba'in. There is a lot of keenness of Pakistanis to visit Iraq. There are close to 200,000 who visit, or perhaps more, to Iraq. But if we facilitate, there will be a lot more willing to visit your beautiful country. I shared with the Foreign Minister that we have, under Prime Minister's personal supervision and interest, announced a new Zyrine management policy, and we would require their support and cooperation in its implementation. We have a plan to facilitate the Zyrine when they travel to Iraq. We plan to have a Pakistan house in Karbala. We plan to open consulates in Najaf and Karbala, and also have a medical center for the Zyrine who visit, who go there for ziyarat. I also briefed the Foreign Minister on the situation that is evolving in Afghanistan. Obviously, as an important country in the region, they have an interest in that, and I've also informed him about the constructive role, the facilitating role Pakistan has and will continue to play in the peace process. In fact, right now we are in Doha engaging with the Troika and with other stakeholders to push the peace process forward. I've shared with him the situation in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the state terrorism Kashmiris are facing, and the gross human rights violations that they are suffering. We also discussed and deliberated upon the Middle East situation and how important peace and security and stability of Middle East is for Iraq as well as Pakistan, because of a significant number of Pakistanis who live and work and contribute to the socio-economic development within Middle East and in particular the Gulf countries. I'm happy to share that we have just signed, before coming down for this stakeout, an MOU between Iraq and Pakistan, and this is a bilateral political consultation mechanism that we intend to establish for regular consultations on issues of interest to Iraq and Pakistan, regional issues, global issues, so that we synchronize our positions and have a more coordinated position at international forums. So I welcome the Foreign Minister, and over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Your Excellency Makhdoom Shah Mehmood Qureshi. We had an excellent meeting, and this is not the first time that we meet. Indeed, we had our first meeting in Baghdad, and then the second meeting we had it in Antalya in Turkey. And each time we are thinking about how to be partners, our countries to be partners in various fields. When we are studying the trade relationship between both sides, we see that it is not in the level that we desire. So the discussion is about to increase the trade level between both countries. But we discuss many other issues, many other topics, as His Excellency mentioned. I would like also to thank Pakistani government and Your Excellency for allowing our officers to have training in Pakistan, and also allowing our diplomats to have training here in Pakistan. As His Excellency mentioned, we discussed many issues, topics related to both sides, bilateral relationship, but also some regional topics. As for regional topics, we hope that the issue of Kashmir will be solved between both countries, India and Pakistan. We Iraqis, and Iraq has got excellent relationship with both countries, India and Pakistan. And we believe, in fact, in solving problems only through dialogue and peaceful way. So we hope that both countries will start negotiation about this issue, which has a long history. We mentioned that Iraq is playing an important role now in the area. In fact, the tension in the area affects the situation inside Iraq, but also in other countries. So the tension between some regional countries affects us directly, sometimes negatively. So that's why we started to talk to the regional countries, and the target is to bring them together in Baghdad. We are planning, Your Excellency, to have a meeting of the leaders of the neighboring countries in Baghdad at the end of this month. It is a fact that there are conflicts and tension between and among various countries in the region. But we believe in dialogue. We believe the way to solve the problems with our neighboring countries, if we have got problems, or if they have problems, will be only and only through dialogue. So we started this approach. And I think the steps which we have taken now is getting some results. Our Prime Minister has been invited to Pakistan, and His Excellency accepted the invitation, and we are planning together so that we can prepare the ground for his visit. Once again, I am honored to be here. This is my first visit and first time to be in Pakistan. And thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your hospitality. And I am looking forward to have various meetings with the leaders of this country the coming days. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency. And we can now take few questions. My request would be if you could kindly introduce yourself, your news outlet, and also indicate who your question is addressed to. Ji, Amjad.
Thank you, sir. My question to the Honorable Foreign Minister of Iraq is that, His Excellency, how do you see Pakistan's role in bringing stability and peace in Afghanistan and to the current situation? Thank you.
Indeed, the situation in Afghanistan was one of the subjects which we discussed. And I must say we are worried about what's going on in Afghanistan. And about 10 days ago, the Prime Minister and myself and the Iraqi delegation, we were in Washington, D.C. And we had meetings with various American officials, including officials which has to do with Afghanistan. Why the situation in Afghanistan is, why we are worried about the situation in Afghanistan? We are worried because we see signals of using violence in solving the problem. The peace process and the meetings are continuing. We hope that the solution will be through this peace process and negotiation between and among various political parties in Afghanistan. At the end, Afghanistan needs peace. And peace in Afghanistan, it will affect also the neighboring countries. But violence in Afghanistan affects all of us. And Afghanistan is not far away from Iraq. So that's why we are worried about what's going on now in Afghanistan. But we hope that through negotiation, and Pakistan is playing an important role in this field, and I'm sure that Pakistan wants to have peace in Afghanistan, and Pakistan believes in at the end, the various political groups and fractions in Afghanistan must come together, and they must work together and be partners. Otherwise, conflict inside Afghanistan, and we have seen it, the conflict in Afghanistan, it goes back to decades, affected the whole area. In fact, for a while, affected the whole world. So we hope that, as we see it, that Pakistan is playing this important role, and with other partners in the field and partners on international level, they will reach an agreement. Thank you.
Ji, Mateen.
Thank you, Excellency. This is Mateen Adar. I am representing GTV. As Foreign Minister of Pakistan has mentioned about Pakistani Zaireen and the policy of Iraqi government on the visa. So would you like to give detail what policy Iraqi government is introducing and Muharram has already started. Thousands of Pakistani Zaireen are waiting about the new Iraqi visa policy. Would you like to explain that what Iraqi visa policy for Muharram and for Arbaeen, as our foreign minister has mentioned, and when it is going to open the visas for Pakistani Zaireen? And question to our foreign minister, despite Pakistan's best efforts for peace and reconciliation in Afghanistan, unfortunately we are witnessing, watching, listening an anti-Pakistan narrative. So why it is so, despite our best efforts, diplomatic efforts at Doha in Afghanistan and elsewhere, and over last 2 days we are witnessing there have been very negative trends against Pakistan vis-a-vis Afghanistan is concerned. Would you like to throw light which elements are behind such propaganda against Pakistan? Thank you.
Okay, I'll go first. Well, as you know, Pakistan has consistently been advocating reduction in violence. We have been continuously supporting the peace process, whether it was the Doha process, the Heart of Asia, Istanbul process, or the discussions within the Troika Plus meeting. You're aware of the fact that our delegation is in Doha right now, as I speak to you, engaging with all stakeholders for the promotion of peace and stability in Afghanistan. We have an enlightened self-interest in a peaceful, stable Afghanistan, and we have done everything possible to facilitate that, and we will continue to do that despite the negative statements emanating from some quarters within Afghanistan. Now, why are they doing that is what needs to be understood. If you look at some of the social media trends, we have gone into it in greater detail, and we've come to the conclusion that the bulk of that is orchestrated. It's not a natural trend. It is a bot-controlled trend, and it is part of a smear campaign. It is part of a campaign to divert attention from internal challenges that Afghanistan is going through. We sympathize with them. We're willing to be supportive, but let the world know what the reality is. And Pakistan, because of its what we believe in, we are sincere in a peace process, and we will not be apologetic, because we have done whatever we could, and we will continue to do what we can for peace, for stability, and for regional connectivity. It is in sync with the agenda of our government. You know, the economic security paradigm that we are talking about, the shift from geoeconomics, from geopolitics to geoeconomics, requires peace. And that is why we are advocates of peace. We have never advocated use of force, and we've never shown inclination towards a particular group. We have no favorites. But ultimately, the Afghans, they have to sit and they have to work out, what kind of a future they want for themselves and for their country. Pakistan will only facilitate.
As for the Zaireen, the visitors from Pakistan, because of the situation in Iraq, for a while there wasn't flights between Pakistani cities and Iraqi cities. But now I have understood that there are flights between cities. But now I have understood that there are flights between Pakistani cities and Baghdad and Najaf. So that has been solved. The second issue has to do with the visa. Visa has been released, but to make it easier for the visitors, for Zaireen, When I will be back, I will discuss this issue with the Minister of Interior in Iraq, because at the end, it is the responsibility of Minister of Interior in Iraq to make it easier for the Zaireen from Pakistan to come to visit Karbala and Najaf and Baghdad and other areas, other holy places. And we are going to work on that. We are going to solve that problem. And Zaireens from Pakistan, they are welcome in Iraq. And this is in the mutual interest, but also it is in the interest of both people to build different kind of relationship between both countries and between both societies. Thank you.
Numanish Pak Mughal from Parliament Times, sir. Welcome to Pakistan in this sacred month of Muharram. Sir, Pakistan and Iraq were close allies in support towards Palestinian people. However, in last year of Donald Trump administration, we have seen that most of the Middle Eastern countries started recognizing Israel. Sir, do you believe any normalization of ties between Iraq and Israel? Are you the principal stance that Pakistan is on the Palestinian issue?
We believe in the Palestinian cause. We believe